Hi there, and welcome to Jakarta. Right now I'm making my way to Soekarno-Hatta International Airport, the country's largest hub just to the west of Jakarta. We are of course continuing my Roots and Hub series today, but today's airport, it's not really a hub, but it is kinda like a hub, and it should be a hub. But more than anything else, it's kind of a missed opportunity. So today's video will be a Batik Air trip report, along with, I guess, the state of affairs here in Jakarta and what led to where we are today, as well as what's being done to hopefully change that in the future, if that's even possible. It greatly depends on where you're staying in Jakarta, but personally, I've never made this ride in under 50 minutes, and it's taken me up to 90 on occasion. Today we'll be departing from Terminal 2F, but before we dive in deeper, let me introduce myself. I'm Kevin the Flip-Flop Traveler. If there's one thing that I want you to know about my videos, it's that my opinions are honest and my own. If you'd like to know more about the what, how, and why I do what I do, scan the QR code to learn more. Have a look around the channel, there are hundreds of airline and hotel reviews to enjoy. This not so full service trip report to Singapore starts now. If you don't know anything about Batik Air or Lion Air, some might say lucky you, I'd suggest checking out my Super Airjet video for a bit of clarity, but just a bit because even I to this day don't fully understand the need for them to operate so many brands. Batik Air was launched as Lion Air's full-service airline meant to compete directly with Garuda Indonesia, the country's flag carrier. Originally the airline was to be called SpaceJet, but was changed prior to their first flight from Jakarta to Yogyakarta and Manado. I'm curious if someone knows why they changed the name. My only guess is that it sounds too close to SpiceJet. When buying your tickets, and I'll admit that I've seen a lot of conflicting information on this, but when you buy them, you're not going to be able to select your seat. It would seem that if you buy a Batik Air Malaysia ticket, you might just be able to call their call center and get a seat assigned. But if you book Batik Air Indonesia, as I did, it is impossible. So the day before the flight, you need to download the Book Cabin app, check in on that, that's the only way, and then hope that you can choose a decent seat. When I got to the airport, I wanted a paper boarding pass and asked about upgrades, just for the heck of it. It would be around $150, and the very friendly check-in agent promptly told me don't do it, since it would only include the seat and absolutely nothing else related to the business class experience. Boarding pass and overweight carry-on in hand, since they didn't give a flying hoot about that, I explored the terminal, which in its own right had a bit of charm. Or well, as much charm as something that comes out of the 80s could possibly have. Batik Air had aspirations for long-haul flying, and had 5 787s on order, but cancelled those in 2014 due to Indonesia's blacklist status in the EU at that time, not anymore. Currently they have 67 aircraft, all narrow-body except for one A320, which they use on Umrah and Hajj flights. With all of those, they fly to 8 regular international and 43 domestic destinations. Soekarno-Hatta opened in 1985 with these two crescent-shaped terminals, each with 3 concourses, but Jakarta's aviation history certainly didn't start there. This airport's predecessor was Kemayoran Airport, which opened in 1940, the first commercial airport in the Dutch East Indies. There was also another airfield which was primarily a military base at the time, Halim Perdana Kusuma. While both airports were operating in tandem, Kemayoran focused on domestic while Halim was international. Since Kemayoran was literally in the center of the city though, it couldn't really be expanded, and so a plan to build a mega airport to the west was devised. While Qantas has served Jakarta for decades, it seemed it had been left behind when considering the Kangaroo route, simply due to its location and cultural ties. Singapore was a definite stop on the route, in part due to its obvious ties to the UK, and it became one of the original hubs. Before aircraft could make it non-stop from Darwin to Singapore, Surabaya was a much more logical stop along the way. Though on the original flight from England, the Smith brothers did stop in Kalijati to the east of Jakarta. Fast forward to the 2010s and a lot of things began to happen. First, Terminal 3 was open, but not in its current form, simply as a smaller low-cost terminal in 2011. In 2013, Halim Perdana Kusuma ended its restrictions on sub-100 passenger planes and eased some pressure from here before the Terminal 3 Ultimate opened in 2016, which you've seen in my previous videos when I've flown out of Jakarta on Cathay and Etihad. Terminal 3 houses nearly all of the full-service carriers now. Allow me to show you a map of every flight route from Jakarta. Honest question, does this look like the route map of the capital city and the largest city of a country with 280 million people? To me, it definitely does not. Now, many will argue the lack of long-haul connectivity is due to lack of demand. But the folks over at Singapore Airlines, they would certainly disagree with you, since they're the ones flying thousands of Indonesians from Jakarta per day to long-haul destinations. The underlying issue here, no future pun intended, had a lot to do with the runways. I will skip over the specifics, but all runways have ratings for weight and usage. Part of that rating system is the subgrade under the pavement. It's rated A, B, C, or D. If you want to operate long-haul flights that can handle maximum weight for a 777, for example, you need an A or B rating, the strongest two. Here at Soekarno-Hatta, it's D. And so this is why a 777 that could easily fly from here to London can't actually fly from here to London. It's too heavy on takeoff. So for years now, their very limited European services have often operated with technical stops or in a triangular route. Here's our ride coming in now. I'll put up the expanded airport stats. It's only in the last decade or so that non-stop service to Amsterdam was deemed possible after a couple runway upgrades. So as I said earlier, it was and still is a missed opportunity with their continued D rating. So I suppose they're making the best of it now, but now they're just playing catch up. There's so many airlines connecting Jakarta to the rest of the world that there really is no place for Garuda flying non-stop to many far-off lands. These days, Jakarta is a massive mega domestic hub with some regional connections, and for those interested in flying to other long-haul destinations, they generally connect via Singapore or Kuala Lumpur or Dubai and the like. There is still plenty of space on site for expansion though, and that is in the works. You can see here the designs for the new Terminal 4, which would in and of itself have a capacity of 45 million passengers annually. Originally though, this terminal was meant to open this year, and to my knowledge, construction hasn't really commenced yet. And so Indonesia and its 13 commercial airlines all compete fiercely in this domestic and surrounding regional market, on flights just like today's. On a daily basis, there are up to 30 flights per day to Singapore. Boarding began around 20 minutes behind schedule, and we needed to board via stairs, despite the plane being, well, being right there. Let's take a look at today's flight stats. Our A320 has 3 rows of business with economy behind it in a 3x3 pattern. The seats are smart looking and in good condition, even with their own personal monitors. Legroom is okay. Depending on the aircraft that you get, it could be anywhere from 29 to 32 inches. And I'd guess right here we're at around 30 inches. Some nice overhead air vents, and lucky to have a free seat next to me. The safety demonstration video began, and we pushed back as the sun began to set.
129 Sejati Tower. Penerbangan kita Singapura akan ditempuh dalam kebijakan seperti ini untuk menggerakkan tarik barang melepaskannya, angkat lampu pengaman, meninggalkan takaran kursi, menurunkan tanda tangan melipat meja di depan Anda dan terbuka menutup.
Just a quick FYI, if you're planning a trip to Bali or Indonesia in general, please check out my Indonesia playlist, which currently has around 22 resorts and hotels on it. By the middle of 2025, it should be to around 30. It's linked in the description. As we taxi to the runway, I'll leave you with this beautiful takeoff. The airport stats are also coming up. In-flight entertainment on board is a great thing to have. There aren't exactly a bevy of movies on offer, but for a short flight, it's fine. Here's perhaps where the disconnect of them being a full-service carrier comes in, though. This was our meal: a strawberry bread and cup of water. I understand how short the flight is, but every other full-service carrier in Southeast Asia provides a small but full meal on flights of this length, some hot, some cold. That combined with the very convoluted booking and managing experience, not even being able to select your own seat, it's just not full service to me. Hybrid perhaps. But let's see, what really are the differences between today's flight and my flight on Super Airjet? That being an ultra low-cost carrier. Well, here I had a couple dozen movies and a small pastry. And that's it. Let's enjoy the nighttime arrival into Singapore. The airport stats are also coming up. I'll be here in Singapore for a night, staying at the ultra-convenient and ultra-overpriced Yotel in the Jewel. And then tomorrow, back then, I'll go on a true full exploration of what Changi has to offer and bring it all to you in my next trip report. So I do hope you enjoyed the trip report with a bit of historical context today. If you did, be sure to click the like button and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on my twice weekly videos. I'll see you next time on SQ. Oh, and as always, thanks for watching until the end.